Ladies and gentlemen, welcome along once again to the Love Football Zone. This session is entitled Making an Impact Beyond the Field Using Football's Potential and the Street Child World Cup Moscow 2018. I will introduce the panel and give them a chance to explain what they do in a moment. As you may have realised, we have sadly lost one of our panel, which is Alexei Smertin, the former Russia captain. However, he has sent this message to us today, which I'll just read out to you. Dear friends, I'm sorry that I'm not here with you today in Manchester, but let me thank you that you've gathered to discuss such an important event as the Street Child World Cup. It will be held in Russia, and I'm confident you will all see the hospitality of our country. I'm confident that this tournament is important for Russia because children are our future. Football is not just a sport, it unites people, it's communication, it's fun, and the ability to work like a team. People play football all over the world, regardless of nationality and religion. Whether you lose or win, football teaches you to be friendly and respect each other. This is a real modern platform for dialogue, and it is important to us to teach the children to communicate with each other. I believe in this project. I believe in the success of the Street Child World Cup in Russia. I believe that children will experience unique emotions here in Moscow. See you in Russia. He sent that to us over email, and if any of you use email frequently and use a lot of exclamation marks, Alexei is that kind of guy, showing his enthusiasm for the cause and indeed for the project as a whole. Okay, so let's introduce you to our panel. So let's start on this side. As I'm sure you know, Wroe is CEO of Street Child United. Elena, Charina, Head of International Development of the Football Union of Russia. Nadiya Tuktarova, have I said that right? Nadiya Tuktarova, the furthest of the ladies on that side, who is the Sports Social Programs Manager of the Football Union of Russia. In between Elena and Nadiya is Kristina, Kingolts, Project Manager of the Future Depends on You, Football for Child Foundation. And at the far end, Nicola Gaiti, who is from Soccerex, who will be translating for Nadiya, who is speaking in Russian today. Nicola and I have the handheld mics. We will use them with respect. Our panels are absolutely the stars of this session. First of all, we have to pack in a lot, guys. So if I could urge the panel to be quite concise with your answers today. But just to start off with, just give me 10 seconds each on what it is that you do, what is your role, and I'll be timing you as well. John, CEO of Street Child United, what does that involve?
Organising the World Cup for street children.
Okay.
Wherever the World Cup is. And I'm basically the scout. I go on ahead to make it happen.
Excellent. You're the search party, the advance party. Elena, what do you do?
I'm representing the Football Union of Russia. I'm representing my country, and I'm assisting and organizing the World Cup Street Child for homeless children and street child children.
Kristina, with your role for the Football for Child Foundation and the Future Depends on You?
We are the main organizers who organizes this event. We've taken part for 12 years. It's a competition of mini football between kids from orphanages.
Very good. And Nadiya's role was Sports Social Programs Manager at the Football Union of Russia.
Я работаю в Российском футбольном союзе, занимаюсь социальными программами по всей нашей стране. Это непосредственно дети-инвалиды, дети орфани и дети из малоимущих семей.
So Nadiya works for the Russian Football Federation, and she's part of the social development program, helps all the social areas within the union, and she works with all the different people involved. So that's orphans, people who have problems physically, and everyone in general.
Great. Thank you very much for that introduction. You're all on board. That's good to start off with. Let's talk about Russia. Let's talk about the World Cup and the excitement for the first time, Elena, of having a home World Cup in Russia. We're just 9 months away. Just tell us, how is Russia as a country feeling generally about hosting the World Cup?
Of course, first of all, I would like to say that, of course, we are very, very pleased and honored and happy to have this great event, World Cup 2018 in our country. But first of all, I would like to say and that we shouldn't forget that, first of all, football is not just a game. Football is not just a game. Football unites, first of all. As my colleague has already mentioned today in his email, so I would like to repeat once again that football unites countries, football unites nations. Football unites all of us. That's why it's a great power. It's a great tool by means of what and with the help of what we can really do a lot of things. We can help those who need it, and we can make many, many dreams come true. So that is why I'm very happy to be here today with my colleagues who are dealing with these children who really need their dreams come true. I'm very happy to meet all of you here and to be here. I would like also to thank the Soccerex organizers who really helped to attract attention to such kind of problems, serious problems in the world. And with the help of all of us, if we unite all our forces, I think that we can really attract attention with the help of World Cup 2018 in Moscow, in Russia. So to serious problems which exist with children who need our help and support. And I think that we can really do our best to make many, many dreams come true, including improvement of the football and including those children, orphans and street children who need our help.
Thank you very much, Elena. John, you've been to Russia a few times over the last couple of years, haven't you? As you said, the Advanced Party. How are you seeing it shape as a country in readiness for this World Cup next year?
Yeah, no, it's getting exciting. I cycled around the Luzhniki Stadium my last visit. I've been out there 17 times now.
Wow.
And yeah, no, there's a real excitement growing about it. So yeah, no, and I love it. I was a bit more apprehensive about Russia than I was about Brazil and South Africa, and my fears were unfounded. I've met some fabulous people out there, including all these people up here that are partnering with us. Their metro is absolutely brilliant. I've taken my family out there.
It's like a site in itself, isn't it? The metro in Moscow.
It's like every station is like an art gallery.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
looking ready. Do you sense that it will be ready?
Oh, completely. I got the impression when we were getting ready for Brazil that Russia was further ahead than Brazil 2 years before the Brazil World Cup.
Oh, right. Okay.
Russia, in terms of stadiums, infrastructure, all that, Russia will be more than capable.
What about the Russian public, Kristina? How are they engaging with the World Cup? How are people sort of receiving it and getting ready to get involved themselves?
Well, people actually receiving it really well. I can say it from the part of being a volunteer for the Confederation Cup and for the coming World Cup. So we saw, as a volunteer, we saw a lot of attention from the public who came, and a lot of fans. We had a massive amount of fans from Chile, and they absolutely loved it. And basically, the volunteering is really expanding as well in Russia, especially after the Olympics, Winter Olympics in Sochi. It's kind of amount of volunteers who wanted to be part of it was absolutely amazing. And after this, we had the hockey, the ice hockey. We had Formula One volunteers. And basically for the World Cup, it's getting so vast that there was 175,000 applications to be from Russia and all over the world to be a volunteer. And we actually there was only 5,800 volunteers for the Confederation Cup, and it will be 15,000, only 15,000 for the World Cup.
So you had 175,000 to apply, but only 20,000 in total.
Yes.
Wow, that's an oversubscription. That's impressive. It's great that Russia is engaging in that way already. What about football as a sport, Nadiya? How big a sport is it in Russia compared to ice hockey and other sports?
Футбол очень популярный вид спорта у нас в стране, так же, как и хоккей. Футбол и хоккей – это практически одинаково, но за последние годы к подготовке к чемпионату мира футбол приобрел больше популярности, нежели что-либо другое.
So Nadiya is saying that both hockey and football are very, very important sports within Russia. And over the past few years, with obviously the World Cup coming up, football has had a bigger impact and has become a very, very important sport in Russia.
Elena, let's talk about, I suppose, social legacy and impact. How important is it to have that at the core of hosting a mega sporting event such as the World Cup in Russia next year?
So, you know, as any World Cup in any other country, it's always has its legacy, yeah. And of course, including Russia this time. So we are ready, we understand, and we are ready for great projects, for big projects, and we're sure that we will have success because we support any kind of social projects. We are open to communicate, to cooperate, to help, to assist. So that's why I think that this World Cup 2018 will have real success and will be really helpful and successful in any kind of social projects because, as I have already mentioned in my previous speech, so it's one of the biggest and greatest moments for such kind of things to do to help other people who really need it.
And therefore, a big opportunity
Yes.
for Russia to use that platform.
Yes, of course, yeah.
John, you've obviously done this before a number of times. The World Cup in 2010 in South Africa, the very first Street Child World Cup, then twice in Brazil, 2014, 2016, with the events that Street Child United have organised. And when we've talked about this privately, maybe over a beer, we've talked about, and the phrase that you've often used is the way that street-connected children are seen and treated. That needs to change. What have vulnerable children told you when those mega sporting events come around and your events along with them in terms of how they are included or represented?
Children in the cities of the mega sporting events are extremely vulnerable. But consistently, street children tell us globally that what they need to change, what needs to change for them, are birth registration. So they actually officially exist for the first time. So most street children don't officially exist. They're completely off the radar. By coming to a Street Child World Cup, those young people are registered. So birth registration is crucial for all children that live on the streets. And it's about identity. Access to education, they need a pathway where they can progress, where they can have opportunities that other children have. And protection from violence in all sorts of areas in terms of keeping them safe. What I'm excited about these people, I was reminded of our 2010 event. We had a team from Ukraine. Artem was one of the kids. They probably had the biggest adjustment of any of the children that came. They'd never left Ukraine before. They were all white. We were in South Africa. They'd never seen people of colour. They'd never been to that heat. They'd never seen the sea before. And to be honest, they looked a little bit startled. They didn't win any matches. And at the gallery opening, we had the final on South African Human Rights Day, I said to Artem, tell me about the best thing at the Street Child World Cup. And he said the best thing was the conference. He said, at the conference, I realised being on the street wasn't my fault. Wasn't my fault, because I met street children from all across the world. All through my life, I've been blaming myself for being on the streets. Artem went home. One of the girls on his team had already been adopted. So the Ukrainian team lived underground. They lived in heating pipes to stay warm. In the winter, they lived underground. When they got back, Artem was adopted. One of the other girls on the team spoke to her adopted parents and said, look, I've met these people, will you adopt them? Artem and one of the other people were adopted. In fact, all the team from Ukraine were adopted. During the Euros, which were then in 2012 in Ukraine and Poland, we went to meet Artem. And we meant to meet Artem after school. So Artem's going to school. And he took us to his house, and we met his foster parents, and he took us to his bedroom. And he said, I want to show you something in my bedroom. On the wall was a huge flag of South Africa. He said, this is where my life changed, at the Street Child World Cup in South Africa. We've partnered with an organisation that are all about getting children adopted and have been organising a tournament for the last 11 years in order to get children out of orphanages and into families. So I couldn't be happier when I met the people from the foundation and from Megaphone.
Fantastic. And we'll come on to that tournament with Kristina in a moment. Nadiya, from your experience, how much of a boost does it give to the work that you do using football to support social programs? How much of a boost do you get from having the World Cup in your country?
Российский футбольный союз сделал огромные шаги по развитию детско-юношеского массового футбола. И чемпионат мира это, конечно, это открытие дверей для интеграции всех детей, для просмотра матчей, для оказаться в этой среде, почувствовать какое-то желание прийти к большому спорту. И проведение всех... Мы очень много проводим различные мероприятия в преддвериях чемпионата. Не только в преддвериях чемпионатов, но в игре премьер-лиги и перед каждым матчем национальной сборной. Это различные мастер-классы, это турниры, это фестивали со звездами футбола и ветеранами футбола.
So she's saying that the Russian Football Federation, one of their objectives is obviously to unite all the children within Russia and have them play the sport as much as possible in terms of social development. And with the World Cup, they've had the opportunity to have masterclasses, which is where children learn from good football managers. They also have tournaments, football festivals, which overall helps in the entire social development of Russia and its community.
Nadiya, if I can stay with you for a moment, tell us what are the challenges in Russia that can be helped by staging a World Cup in your country? What challenges do orphans face in Russia?
На сегодняшний день у нас есть единственная проблема в том, что эти дети не могут, наверное, попасть в большой спорт без помощи таких организаций, как наша. И наша задача состоит в том, чтобы дети больше занимались футболом, больше привлекались тренера и преподаватели, которых, к сожалению, на сегодняшний день в таких заведениях, как для детей-сирот, очень мало практики. И для нас это очень важно, что в преддвериях чемпионата мира очень много людей приедут в нашу страну, и это будет немного большой такой экспириенс, опыт для очень многих людей, для того, чтобы проводить, дать возможность этим детям заниматься профессионально спортом.
Okay, so Nadiya just said that one of the main challenges that orphans face in Russia is that they don't have the possibility to work and have the same amount of facility and help from people, from managers, from main football managers in Russia as other children do. So that is one of their challenges that they have, which is obviously helped through the World Cup. They have different programs that they run, masterclasses, as I mentioned earlier. And this is one of their main tasks for the orphan side. She also mentioned that a different challenge is the part that, sorry, not a challenge, but rather people coming into Russia will see how everything's working, and it will be a point of where all different children will be able to unite with football.
Nadiya, you yourself grew up as an orphan. What direct experiences did you have?
Да, я выросла в очень большой семье и оказалась с детства без родителей. И, наверное, для меня самый большой случай было это встретить. Самая большая проблема детей, именно сирот, это в том, что когда они вырастают из школы, они не знают, чем заняться и куда пойти. Это дети двора. И, естественно, это всегда плохие компании, и это очень плохой образ жизни. Мне повезло в моей жизни, так как я встретила очень известного комментатора России, который дал мне шанс войти в большой спорт. Он задал единственный вопрос: люблю ли я спорт, и я ответила да, и он меня пригласил заниматься большим теннисом, после чего моя жизнь изменилась. У меня появились новые хорошие друзья, прекрасная жизнь, у меня появилась цель, и я до сих пор в спорте, и, естественно, мне очень хочется также отблагодарить, также помочь этим детям, как однажды помогли мне. Поэтому я пришла в футбол и занимаюсь социальными программами этих детей.
Okay, so Nadiya was part of a big family herself. She was an orphan, and she experienced, the difficulties that orphans face in Russia. How they might not have a goal in life. They might feel to be in difficulties. And one day she met a famous Russian commentator who asked her, "Do you enjoy sports?" And she said, "Yes, I do." And since then they became friends. He showed her a better lifestyle, which is something that she's very happy about, that completely changed her life, made her a very goal-driven person. And this is how eventually she ended up working with football and being in the current position that she is. And what she said also is that she'd like to give back what she has been fortunate enough to have and help orphans in Russia in the same way that she was helped many years ago.
Nadiya, one final question for you for the moment. You've met Roberto Carlos. Tell us how that came about.
Да, Роберто Карлос, Роберто Карлос участвовала в многих социальных программах, когда он работал в России. И у нас состоялся с ним разговор о том, что он спросил, чем я занимаюсь. Я ему рассказала про детей, про то, как мы помогаем этим детям и хотели бы, чтобы они играли в футбол. И он сказал, был разговор о том, что он из Бразилии, из очень небогатой семьи, и для него была единственная цель – это футбол, потому что он его любил. И сошлось на том, что у него 8 детей сейчас, а я ему сказала о том, что я тоже 8-й ребенок в семье, и он пожелал мне удачи и всячески обещал меня поддерживать в наших программах, как только у него будет такая возможность.
So Nadiya met Roberto Carlos in Russia whilst he was working there a few years ago, and he was really interested in all the social programs and social developments that she's involved with. And that's how they became friends. And they also spoke about Roberto Carlos's own personal perspective when he grew up in Brazil from a poor background, and that's how they became friends. And she mentioned an interesting fact how Roberto Carlos has 8 children himself, and she is the 8th child in her family when she was an orphan. And yes, she also said that Roberto Carlos wished her, the best of luck for the tournament, for the social development, and he will try and be involved in as much as he can with this.
Friends in high places are always useful. John, you've met a few, particularly through Street Child United. We've got some incredible global ambassadors, haven't we? Gilberto Silva and Alex Scott recently retired from the England Lionesses as well. How much value do they add to your work? How important is it that they really champion the cause and the charity as a whole?
Oh, it's invaluable. They just open so many doors. We had Gilberto Silva with us for the last Soccerex. I think what's significant, what's just been said, and goes true also for both Alex and Gilberto, but both of them have spent a lot of time with our projects. They've both spent time with our young people in Brazil at the World Cup, and both of them have had difficult starts in life. Gilberto was telling me when he started work at 13, and one day he came home from work and his family had been evicted from their house. He said, I came home and all the stuff was on the pavement. Gilberto is one of the nicest people I know. He's very kind, dignified, eloquent, but he feels what it is like to face hardship.
Do high-profile footballers need to do more to contribute to society as a whole to try and affect social change? We heard yesterday from Juan Mata in the studio and the common goal that initiative that he helped launch, and there are now more footballers, Mats Hummels, etc., coming on stream. But how much more needs to be done, and how much responsibility do they bear as well, John?
They've got to be part of it. In the previous session, people were like, whose responsibility is this? And I was thinking, it's my responsibility because I've seen it, but they've seen it as well. It's all of our responsibilities. I think common goal is a great idea, and I think it's one of those ideas which is contagious. I've talked to some of the footballers I've known about it, as well as some of the clubs. I think there are some issues around how it's managed, and at the moment, and Jürgen was saying this morning, it's going into a sort of common pool. I think, from my understanding, when we're talking to clubs, particularly in Britain, they're working with foundations and they want to say, you know, I want my foundation to benefit. And when I'm talking about the club foundation that they work for, whether that's Crystal Palace or Arsenal, whatever. So I think to have some of those funds directed to causes specifically close to those footballers would be a good thing.
Okay. Kristina, we're going to focus on The Future Depends on You Orphans Tournament. Before you ask you about it, let's just see a brief video to introduce you to this wonderful tournament.
I just start being simple, be bright, let them know you well made. I gave them major, they gave me minor. It's a long way to be left, hanging on the line. You cut the mirror and you may impress. Now you're better than before. Have the name and one day hold me.
Yeah, a little round of applause for that one. Kristina, The Future Depends on You. Why was this tournament created?
Well, I just want to say first that the little video that you saw is basically the final part of The Future Depends on You. But it's actually quite big. It's made of 3 parts. It's to go from the, you know, where we are now rather than from the start. It's been run for 12 years. It's the biggest foundation project of Megaphone, and obviously it's gone so big by the support of Russian Federal Union, Russian Football Union. It's the only federal project which you know, supports, which helps those children from orphanages. And what's great about it, that it takes the kids, as Nadiya said before as well, you know, the kids that grows in orphanages, when they finish the school, they sometimes they don't know where to go. And basically, this tournament helps those kids to prepare through the football within a year. Because for the whole year, this project divides into 3 parts. The first part is regional. The second part is federal. So actually 8 federations around Russia, they participate. The different orphanages, properties, they take the kids from 2 different groups, the younger and the older, and they compete within each other. And then basically the third stage is the final, so the winners go to Sochi. And for a lot of those kids, it's absolutely celebration because they never seen the sea, you know, they never flied somewhere across. They've been always in their place in their federation, and some of them are quite cold. The federal part, I mean, for example, Wroe or something, or somewhere there. And for them, it's a great celebration. And the winners, actually, it's even more for them. They fly across. So as the video said, it's basically the winning prize. They go to London for over a week or something. And they see the Arsenal game, they play against the youth academy of Arsenal. So, you know, for a lot of them, it's a matter of life-changing. And
Дети встречались в этом году с Путиным.
oh, and this year, the winning team, they also met with our President Putin, so which was really great for them. So, you know, they and just sorry, another point. And basically, through 12 years, there was 30,000 participants from the kids. This involved 140 cities and also 350 teams. So it's quite a large amount that we gone into. And within the years, we got a lot of media partners, and you know, we're expanding more and more in a way by the attention that we're gaining. But hopefully the objective that this tournament will stop only when there will be no orphans at all in Russia. And also from 2014, together with the Foundation Change of Life, another one, in 3 years, there have been 1,700 video application of the young sportsmen. They do their video about was the football changed for them, was this participation change, and 400 kids got adopted already. So it's a great change. And actually, for past years, what's also quite, it's a great change that the two groups that we get to participate in this tournament, we set the specific age. So the younger boys and girls is a mixed team. They no older than 13 or girls 14 years old, and the older group, boys no older than 15 years old. But within the years, actually this, how you call this, barrier gone further. So we take for the both groups younger kids, because those properties with the orphanages, they can't get the teams enough, and it's only 8 participants, but they can't get enough children for a particular age because they've already been adopted.
Right, so you have to bring the age forward, if you like, earlier in their lives.
Earlier, so,
right.
So it's a great change, actually. And
well, it's interesting because obviously in order to launch the Street Child World Cup in 2018, John, you are teaming up. This is a real sort of partnership in all senses. Why? Why does Kristina and her project, why does that interest you?
Because they're local, because they're in Russia. We try and identify really strong partners that know the situation far better than we do. The experience in running these events is phenomenal. They're incredibly well connected, but the main thing is we share similar values. They're people like us, and that's my job when I'm doing the scouting. I just talk about what we do and trying to find people that identify with it and want to get on the journey to do it. And Yuri, these guys, we've got a fabulous local advisory group in Moscow. We have the Children's Commissioner for Moscow on that group. We've got the International School. We've got various people from the diplomatic service. And they've never heard of the Street Child World Cup. But they're willing to get on board. I was delighted when I arrived here that Dan from Love Football Zone told me, oh, I'm volunteering for the Street Child World Cup next year. I've been accepted. I didn't even know he'd applied. And you're coming as well.
I am, indeed I am. It's in the diary. Well, I mean, we'll talk about the actual specifics of the Street Child World Cup next year in a moment. But Elena, from a sort of an overall Russian perspective, how great is it that a charity like Street Child United, who've hosted World Cups, remember before, in South Africa and Brazil, and the Street Child Games in Brazil, have the interest to come and stage a tournament? I mean, that must be an endorsement of the potential for opportunity that there is in Russia as well.
So, you know, it's always much more easier for everyone to do something very valuable, so with the help of the charities. So you to unite forces and to make, so again, our dreams, all our dreams and all our projects come true. That's why, so from this point of view, it's very, very important, and it's very, very just a good luck for us to have such a partner in organizing such kind of competition, children competition, street child competition in advance of World Cup 2018. So that's why I'm happy once again to meet John and just to wish good luck for all of us in organizing this event, this great event, which will for sure just will bring, will be success and will bring a lot of joyful smiles to our faces and to children's faces, and we'll have a great success all over the world.
So this tournament has one of the longest names in the world, doesn't it, officially? It is the Street Child World Cup 2018. The future depends on you. However, we've heard from one part of the partnership. Let's hear about the other. For those of you not acquainted with the Street Child World Cup, here's a little video to show you exactly what it is.
In the field, it is a magical feeling, you know. It's something that you have born in your feet.
Futebol para mim é quase irmão, está sempre aqui no coração.
El fútbol es universal, es algo que mueve masas, que mueve muchas personas.
We say the whole world has conspired with us to make the Street Child World Cup possible.
I can't believe it, to be honest. It's such an impossible thing, the idea of taking kids from 19 countries, people who don't have passports, don't have birth certificates.
They've had to be recognised as human beings for the first time officially.
Once I was on the street, my mother and my father died. I have no one. Street child take me, put me to school, do everything for me.
Las niñas procedentes de zonas un poco vulnerables y nosotros estamos tratando de que ellas no sigan ese rumbo. Fútbol es una herramienta muy grande para hacer un intercambio cultural. Las personas se comunican a través de un balón y es agradable verlo.
Me da un orgullo estar aquí representando a Nicaragua.
Estou jogando pela seleção Brasil.
Saya ingin membela negara saya, Indonesia.
Vamos a luchar por levantar en alto El Salvador.
It's about transforming people's perceptions of street children. It's about getting the world to see them differently. It's just amazing how a game of football can do that.
Okay, John, you've overseen 2 editions of this. Sorry, yeah, I completely forgot. Round of applause. Apologies, John.
No, not at all.
Right, so you've overseen 2 editions of this tournament before, as it's grown, as it's evolved, as it's changed. Just give us a sort of brief outline of what it is, how it works, and what's the goal?
Okay, so it's a football tournament held wherever the World Cup is. It's with 24 teams, an equal number of girls' teams to boys' teams. It's about identifying the very best projects that are working with street children around the world and then inviting them to come play football. When they're there, they also have an arts festival, and they also have a congress that explores street children's rights. Ahead of the Street Child World Cup, we invite all the leaders to take part in a summit. At the summit, which we held this year during the Confederations Cup in Moscow, so we've had all the project leaders with us in Moscow in June. That's where they talk about what's really important to their young people and how they will work with us to campaign to make change in those countries. And those priorities are birth registration, access to education, protection from violence. So the Street Child World Cup is just one small part of it. It's actually about developing a community of committed people across the world who will make a difference for those children.
And young leaders as well, I expect. How does this then differ then? What have you learned from 2010 in Durban, 2014 in Rio that you're taking to 2018? How is this situation different? What learnings have you taken from the previous editions?
It's about creating a global platform. So I've said all along that we will hold it in Red Square. I haven't got permission for that. But the Commandant of the Kremlin will give us permission, I hope, in 2 weeks' time. I know if we have it in Red Square, if we turf Red Square green for street children's rights, the whole world will listen. These guys are working really hard with us to make that happen. It'll be different because we have got legacy funds for the teams. So we're working with them at a much earlier stage. We're working with them on their campaigns, and we've got in place funds to help them put into practice the legacy in each of those 3 areas that they work.
So you're already planning for after the tournament, before it's happened?
Absolutely, yeah. Because they've all come to Moscow once already, all the project leaders, one of our biggest problems is getting the young people into the country. We've always managed to get all the young people in, but there's been some few late nights in the 2 weeks running up to it because they're children without birth certificates, let alone passports and visas. We're not going to have that situation in Russia because we've got a partnership with the Russia Football Union, with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, with the Ministry of Education.
How much have they really facilitated that to you? I mean, you know, the organisation that Elena represents, because that's just simply such a difficult, complicated process, isn't it?
Yeah. We've worked together. We have a project worker based in Moscow, and we have a fabulous, well-connected local advisory group. But you know, the Russian Football Union and the fund have got fabulous partnerships already. So it's just a matter of focusing on what we need and delivering that. We also have a brilliant organising group which makes decisions about every stage of it. So for me, it's a huge weight off my shoulders, just in terms of entry, that there will be a representative from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs at every airport when the young people arrive. If the young people are held up, that's the last thing I want if they've flown all the way from Kathmandu or Indonesia.
Yeah. I mean, it's great that you've made all these plans. You've driven through those complications and found the solutions with the help of Elena, Kristina, Nadiya, etc. But you still have to have an event. You still have to have a football tournament, and this is where you and Kristina essentially come together with Elena's support. Just tell us about the partnership, maybe from your perspective, Kristina, with Street Child United. How did that come about? Tell us about that first conversation that you guys had to say, hey, why don't we do this together?
I think it will be more of a, I would rather say that, you know, how it's, okay, how is it happening is very important, because it's actually two parts that, you know, in the Russian that we project, the Future Depends on You, that been for 12 years now, the part of it is that we have the kids, we don't have the kids on the streets, we actually have the government facilities where the orphanages or orphans live, and they have the legal guardians who take part of them, who take care of them until they're 18 years old, when they, you know, go into the life by themselves. And then, but then we have, and it's quite a big issue, the orphans, obviously. And from another part, it's the kids from the streets, you know, without the identity, without the passport which we can give them. So our main objective that we came together, that's the idea that we want those kids to adapt to the life, to socialize, to get well in their lives and future. Because the most important thing that the person should have, they need to have the harmony inside, and to be in harmony outside in what they're doing in life. And that's basically our main objective. And, you know, coming together, it's actually very, very, I think, it's going to be a very great event. And it's hope we attract even more, you know, even more eyes from the Russian side, from around the world, towards those issues. And as I said, combining orphans and combining kids from streets, it's amazing to give this, to give attention to the media about it.
Nadiya, can I ask you, how important is it for someone who has been an orphan themselves to have that sense of community, that you meet other people who've been in similar situations and that you can both benefit from that relationship?
Окей. На самом деле задача всего этого социальной программы, я так считаю, и я думаю, со мной все согласятся, что главное не то, чтобы эти дети стали известными футболистами. Самое главное — дать им шанс быть здоровыми людьми, потому что спорт — это дисциплина, это здоровый образ жизни. И только когда у тебя есть дисциплина, когда ты занимаешься спортом, у тебя есть возможность влиться в нормальную историю жизни. И, может быть, после завершения школы как раз-таки ты можешь стать не футболистом, но ты можешь стать инженером, ты можешь стать известным комментатором, кем угодно, но быть в нормальной среде и не вернуться на улицу, и не оказаться в плохой компании. Очень важно встречать, почему Российский футбольный союз очень часто делает встречи с экс-футболистами и ветеранами футбола. Мы проводим для них встречи и фестивали, для того, чтобы дети могли очень побольше общаться и понимать, чего они хотят. У меня очень много раз Первый мой раз, когда я привезла детей за границу, это была Италия. Это было Рим и Милан. И я могу сказать, что так как встречали русских детей итальянцы, для меня это было очень трогательно до слез, потому что все в том городе, где мы жили, все мамы этого города вышли и готовили ужин для всех детей, не только для своих и для детей орфаней. Они объединили своих детей с детьми, которые приехали из России, и сделали один общий ужин. Это было прекрасно. И премьер-лига Италии очень прекрасно, очень хорошо относится, у них работает эта программа, и они передали некий опыт мне в дальнейшем, как это проводить и делать, потому что они это делали все очень красиво и очень правильно.
All right, quite a lot to translate there.
Nicola, good luck.
So starting from the beginning, she's mentioned that the main task, obviously, of all these programs is not to make professional football players out of orphans, but rather give them the opportunity to, lead a healthy lifestyle, give them the opportunity to meet the correct people, and not to be in the streets and have a poor background with difficulties. So that's the main task, the main objective of everything that they do in Russia at the moment. And she mentions from her own experience how many years ago she went to Italy, specifically to Rome, and she had a great insight, a great experience where she brought along the orphans from Russia, and the Italian families there brought them all together, made food for them, and created a great sense of community and integrity. So she says, how that really, really impacted her, and how she wanted then to bring that to Russia and have a similar approach.
Ну, чтобы детей как раз-таки, чтобы к нам приезжали, и эти дети могли приезжать.
And so
это очень важно.
In a similar way, just as the Russian orphans went to Italy, she wanted other people from all over the world to come to Russia and have similar experiences as well.
Okay, thank you very much for sharing those. What would you say, I suppose it's a question for both John and Kristina, and Elena, I'd like to get your thoughts as well. What are the shared goals and objectives from this next summer's tournament in Moscow? What for you both as organisations? Maybe John, you'd like to start?
For me, it is about a global platform. It's about getting the world to listen to what these young people are saying. And that's what I keep insisting on this. We've got to get the whole world listening to these young people.
Okay, getting the eyeballs on the tournament. Yeah. What about you, Kristina?
Well, basically, as well, getting the attention to, the kind of the issues that we do have as well, that we have orphans in Russia, that, we're helping them to adjust to life, to get the families, to be in the new families, and to bring basically more attention so the world see the issues, because obviously it's not if we have it here, every country has their own that kind of issues with the children. It could be from kids from the streets, it could be orphans, and at the end of the day, it's our future, because that's what, in a way, we're saying the future depends on you, that everyone can make the change to their life, but it's also the future. Our future depends on the kids, on those kids who grow, because they are the future society that will make the decisions, that will become, will be making the impact, will be changing the world, maybe even going into, like Nadiya, participating, going into the, the federal organizations. They make the impact for the sports, for arts, for everything. So
one of the things that I loved at the summit, sorry Elena, was we were able to bring in some of the teams that have been part of the Future Depends on You tournament into, to meet all the other team leaders. So there were new teams to us from Belarus, from Tajikistan, from Ukraine, and obviously 2 teams from Russia.
Yes.
And within our global network as well, we also had new teams from Mexico and from Canada. And I love the way all the other team leaders welcomed them into this family and how included they all felt. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how those relationships develop and how they continue to support each other long after the Street Child World Cup. And I love the fact that Russia now will always be part of the Street Child World Cup, wherever we go.
Elena, you wanted to come in there.
And I want to just to finalize a little bit that it's also very important, and one of the biggest targets and objectives is to keep the line, to have it as a kind of a tradition. So not only for the coming year, for the coming tournament, but for the future countries, for the future World Cups, to have this legacy all over the world, not only in 2018, but also in the upcoming
So to establish it and get it moving.
to keep the line, to have a tradition of organizing such kind of events. So it's for sure, it should be.
Let's just talk about impact then, globally impact, because of course Kristina and Nadiya have given us a real sense of Russia, John, but how does Street Child United then go ahead after Russia 2018? You've had the final whistle blow in the final between, let's say, Ukraine. Let's say it's a local derby. Let's say it's Russia versus Ukraine. Let's say those two teams get through to the final. The final whistle blows. Then what? How do you then make the impact happen?
It's about working with those projects ahead of time to plan the campaigns. So last time, as you know, we had phenomenal impact in countries like India, Pakistan, Burundi, Tanzania, and it was all about the preparation that had gone before. When Pakistan returned to Karachi, there were 7,000 people to meet them at the airport. They did a 12-city tour. The government passed a law to do the first ever census of street children in Pakistan. When the team went back to Tanzania, they were taken to the National Assembly in Dodoma, 600 MPs, and the session was temporarily suspended to welcome them back from the World Cup.
But how do you make that impact happen? I mean, it's not like it just happens.
It's the beauty of football. Football opens doors. So this last couple of days, Team Nepal have launched their road to Russia in Kathmandu, and they've been joined by the Nepali National Football Federation. Our project have never had any contact with the National Football Federation. These people are representing their countries at a World Cup, and most of these countries would never get to go to a World Cup. Countries like Burundi and Tanzania probably wouldn't go to a African Cup of Nations. So it's about using the media to get the people in those countries completely on their side and to welcome them home. But also to work with NGOs in those countries ahead of time to plan and prepare. People like Muslim Hands in Pakistan, like Save the Children in many of the countries that we work, to make sure that window isn't lost.
As you say, it's about not only having the global platform, but then exploiting it, then using it and making the most of it. Guys, we're almost to time here. Could I just close by asking you just a final thought, a final message? What is the overriding feeling from you all about what's coming up in the next 9 months, and what message would you like to send not only to our audience here, but also to the wider world about what's coming, the Russian World Cup, but also the Russia Street Child World Cup? The future depends on you. Who would like to start? Elena, why don't you kick us off?
So, just finalizing our conversation, I would like to say, just all of you present, so that our main target is to attract as much attention as we can to this event. So our world is not closed, is not just connected only with these people sitting here. Just we would like to attract all of you, to attract as many of you to this problem, to this serious problem existing in the world, and just to give and to make your impact for organizing such kind of event this time and also in the future. So, and that is why I would like to ask all of you to do everything possible in connection with helping people who need it by means of football. So, and I'm sure that all together we'll have success.
Thank you, Elena. Great start. Kristina?
Well, I think what is great is that what we're saying, that football is more than a game, you know, and basically that I think the life and the world is changing now towards that we're putting a lot of energy into making a real impact towards the problems that we're facing like the social problems, thinking about about kids, about the environment, about making this world a better place. It's always been a subject that we were moving towards it, but I think lately, in late years, have been attracted more attention towards it, and it's great that through such a amazing game as football that unites everyone around the world. Everyone, football speaks only within one language, and basically, with this game, we can do such projects, to help and to give those, as I said before, to give the opportunity to our future children, our future basically.
Now is the time. There's a message of urgency there. It's the right moment, isn't it, to really push on and make that impact because we have the ability to do so. Nadiya, can I ask you for a message for our audience today, if you wouldn't mind?
Я бы хотела, чтобы все люди объединились в одной единственной проблеме. Это дать шанс тем, кто нуждается в помощи. И футбол – это не только игра, футбол – это жизнь. И я хочу, чтобы это была одна футбольная социальная семья, которая помогает всем нуждающим и делает мир лучше.
So Nadiya says that she wants.
Я хочу объединить все страны мира, у которых есть одна единственная проблема.
Yeah, so she wants all the countries in the world that have a similar problem to bring everyone together and to be able to fight this problem, this challenge that the world has all together through such a beautiful thing as football, which unites everyone.
Одна большая футбольная семья.
And have one big football family all together.
She didn't need you, did she? We put you there, but she's better than you. No, I'm joking. John, to finish us off, please.
The young people are just amazing. The young people that we meet through the Street Child World Cup continue to inspire us. We don't know who they are yet because it's the local projects that choose them. So I love this fact that the Street Child World Cup is going on 24 hours a day. And I know that when we meet those young people in Moscow, we will be amazed by what they will achieve at the Street Child World Cup and for the next 4 years.
Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for our panel. John Wroe, Elena, Charina, Kristina, Kingolts, Nadiya, Tuktarova, and a special thank you to Nicola for interpreting for Nadiya. Thank you very much indeed. No worries. And by the way, I'm sure that if you want to have any private conversations with our panel, please come and speak to them as well. They'll be happy to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed.